Okay, welcome in one and all. Now I'm going to make my previews for week 4 of the NFL season. And I am aware I am a day behind on this, so by the time this video is uploaded, I know the Thursday night football matchups are already going to be underway. And speaking of Thursday night matchup, we have an NFC North battle between the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. Both these teams are sitting at 2-1, and despite the fact that the Packers had to come back against their opponent last week, they were able to get the victory over the Saints and get their second win of the season. And I think they should get their third win, defeating the Detroit Lions on Thursday night. So I will predict that the Packers come away with the Week 4 matchup. The Atlanta Falcons are heading into Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Now, Atlanta came off their first loss this season, while the Jaguars are still sitting at one win on the season. I'm going to go with the Jaguars on this one. I can't see them losing 2 games in a row, especially when you have a talented quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. I'd be very shocked if they fell to 1-3. So I believe both these teams should be sitting at 2-2 once this game is done. Quite possibly one of the intriguing games this upcoming weekend between two AFC rivals, between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills got a big victory last week, and they're sitting at 2-1, and the Miami Dolphins are still sitting pretty at 3-0 when they after blowing out the Broncos 70-20. I have the Dolphins winning in this matchup. I mean, they seem like they're very unstoppable at this point. Now, obviously, if the Bills should get the victory, then I still think they could be the beasts of the East. But if the Dolphins play as well as they did last week, this week, I believe they still should be undefeated going into week 5. Two winless teams are taking matchup here in Carolina between the Panthers and the Minnesota Vikings. I figured at this point in the season that the Vikings would be maybe at 2-1. I knew the Panthers would be struggling, so I'm not very shocked that they are sitting at 0-3. But for the Vikings to be sitting at 0-3 is a little troubling, considering that if you go 0-4, that it's going to be very hard to crawl back into that division and make it into the postseason. Not very much aware we're still 14 weeks away from the postseason even taking place, but yeah, if you go 0-4, your season is looking very bleak to say the least. So, as much as I want to give the Vikings my predictions, and I believe they could get the victory, I'll say Carolina gets the victory in this one. They'll pull to 1-3, while the Vikings might go to 0-4. Speaking of more winless teams, the Denver Broncos are heading into the Windy City, I do apologize, to take on the Chicago Bears. Obviously, both these teams are sitting at 0-3, getting off to a very poor start to this season. I want to give the edge to the Broncos in this one. I mean, even despite the fact they gave up 70 points to the Dolphins, I don't see that happening 2 weeks in a row. And I'm not trying to disrespect Justin Fields and the Bears, but I don't see the Bears running away with this matchup. So I believe the Broncos should get their first victory of the 2023 campaign. And I won't say improve, but they should get to 1-3 by week 5. Very interesting matchup in the AFC North between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. Both these teams are sitting at 2-1. The Ravens obviously coming off their first loss of the season last week, while the Browns have got their second win of this young season. I'm going to give the edge to the Browns on this one. Not trying to disrespect the Ravens, but I believe the Browns are better than what I expected. And if they play as good a football as they have been playing, I would not be surprised if they competed for a AFC North crown. Like I believe between the Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers, all three of those teams have 2 wins, and as long as the Bengals can get their ish together, that's going to be a very competitive division all the way to the end. So I'm going to give the edge to the home team in this matchup. Speaking of the Steelers, they're sitting at 2-1. They come off a huge victory over the Las Vegas Raiders last week, while the Houston Texans shocked a lot of people in knocking off the Jaguars to get their first win on this young season. So, in this matchup, I'm going to give the edge to the Steelers. I think they should get the victory in this one. They should improve their record to 3-1, while the Texans most likely will drop to 1-3. The Los Angeles Rams and Indianapolis Colts are taking the field I'm going to give the edge to the Colts in this one, despite the fact that they're a young team and obviously they had a rookie quarterback. The Rams have not shown that they're the team to beat. Obviously, they lost last week against the Bengals. While the Colts got a victory last week to improve to 2-1, and I believe they should get the victory here as well and improve to 3-1 on the season. Two teams in the NFC South, and both these teams are sitting at 2-1. As long as Derek Carr can stay healthy and obviously start, obviously I know he left last week against the Packers. I believe the Saints should get the victory in this one. The only way they would not get the victory is if he either A, got hurt again, or B, just did not start. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what I'll put it as. If Carr is not healthy, I believe the Buccaneers should get the victory. If Carr can live up to what he has built himself up to be, then I'll give the edge to the Saints. This is a flip of a coin, if I may say so. The Washington Commanders are sitting at 2-1, taking on one of the few undefeated teams in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles, an NFC East matchup. I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles in this one. I think that they could be the team to beat in the NFC. Not trying to disrespect the 49ers, which I will be previewing here very soon, but I think the Eagles should be a very competitive team this year. And like I said, they, along with the 49ers, could be the two teams that are to beat in the NFC. So I think the Eagles should improve to 4-0, while the Commanders will drop to a 500 record at 2-2. The Cincinnati Bengals are heading into Tennessee to take on the Titans. Both of these teams are sitting at 1-2. Obviously, not getting off to the start that these respective clubs wanted to be at, but this could be a turning point for either of these teams. If the Bengals happen to get this victory, they can get back to 500 football and a record wise, and then they could possibly get on a bit of a tear, go on a bit of a run. As for the Titans, you don't want to fall too far from grace. Now, with that being said, it's like a three-way tie for last or second in their division. The only team that has 2 wins are the Indianapolis Colts. The Jaguars and the Texans both have 1 win apiece as well. So it's not like they're that far off the grid. And same for the Bengals. Even though they have 1 win on the season, everybody else in their division has 2 wins. They're technically only a game behind in said division as well. So it's not really a panic mode for either of these teams. But again, if you fall to 1-3, you got to go on a 2-game win streak just to get back to 500, and then you got to go on a bit of a more winning streak to improve your record and see where you're at standing wise by the end of the year. I'm gonna give the edge to Joe Burrow and company. He played pretty well last week despite being having that injured calf, but yeah, I'll give the edge to the Bengals in this one. Like I said, they should improve to 2-2. An AFC West matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers. Both these teams are sitting at 1-2 on this young season. The Raiders obviously lost last week to the Steelers, while the Chargers got a big victory, and they have now gotten their first win of this young season. I'm going to give the edge to Justin Herbert and company. I believe the Chargers are a very good team. This is coming from a Broncos fan. Pains me to say that, but yeah, I believe that the Chargers are very good, a very young team, and they should improve to 2-2 on the season. The New England Patriots are heading into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The Patriots are sitting at 1-2, while the Cowboys had a huge upset loss last week against the Arizona Cardinals and are sitting at 2-1. I believe the Cowboys should bounce back and get a victory over the Patriots and improve their records to 3-1, while the Patriots most likely will drop to 1-3. The Arizona Cardinals are taking on the San Francisco 49ers in a battle of the NFC West. And despite the fact that the Cardinals got their first win of the season, I believe it's going to be very short-lived. This 49ers club is no joke. And like I said, between them and the Eagles, I believe both of those teams are the teams to beat in the NFC. So I would be very shocked if the Cardinals got 2 upsets in 2 weeks. So I'm going to give the edge to the 49ers. They should improve to 4-0. The Sunday night matchup would be more intriguing had Aaron Rodgers not gone down on a season-ending injury in Week 1. The Kansas City Chiefs are sitting at 2-1. The Jets are sitting at 1-2. I have no choice but to give the edge to the Chiefs. I mean, the Jets have a lot to prove if they want to try and stay competitive in that AFC East or a wild card spot. But I just believe that they still have a lot of question marks, to say the least. Um, so yeah, I'm going to give the edge to the Chiefs in this one. They should improve to 3-1, and I believe the Jets will drop to 1-3. The Monday night matchup has the Seattle Seahawks sitting at 2-1, taking on the New York Football Giants, who are sitting at 1-2. I'm going to give the edge to the Seahawks in this one, unless the Giants have another miracle that they can pull off and get a victory. I think it's going to be a tough game to say the least. And yeah, like I said, I have no choice. I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this one. They're a very good team. There's no question about that. So the Seahawks should get the victory on the Monday night matchup. So those are all my predictions for week 4. Thank you all for tuning in. If you happen to like sports content, I do it on the daily. If you're a newer viewer, feel free to hit that sub button. And as always, take care.